Welcome back to Taste in a Platter. Today's video is very special. People around the world are struggling to keep their business running due to the pandemic. And when I heard about a taxidermist in Winnipeg who is going to shut down the business, I had requested him if I could come and experience it before it is closed down, and he was kind enough to share his story. So please watch. Hello, sir.
Hello.
So this is Mr. David Baxter, am I right? Welcome to Taste in a Platter, sir. And thank you for letting us come in and experience this. Could you please let us know or give a brief description of what the business is about and what you do?
Taxidermy is, we do custom work for people that go up hunting and fishing. We don't, none of these animals were killed by us. They're all from hunters and fishermen.
Yes.
They're all, this was cut from way north, this big bear, same as that bear. And then they ship them to us. We do the processing, skinning, fleshing, getting them all ready. They go to a tannery. They do the tanning for us, and then we buy the forms or make forms for the animals and put them on.
Awesome. So when I looked at the online write-up, for me it's a new experience, right? So many people don't know what taxidermy is. Is it something that if people are interested, is there a program people could do? Is there something, how do they learn it? How do you start doing this?
I started over 50 years ago.
Awesome.
Doing it at Hawkins Taxidermist when they were on Main Street. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
They moved from Main Street over to Notre Dame Avenue, and then eventually they had problems, so they closed down.
Okay.
Ron was already in business. He was been in business for 60 some odd years. Or this company has been.
Okay.
Ron Telesky started it. Then when he passed away, his wife was running it for a short time. She sold it to my brother Jim, and my brother Jim sold it to me because his lungs were really bad, so he got out of it.
Okay.
And taxidermy is a taxi is you move things, right?
Yes.
A taxi is you move people or whatever, and dermis is skin, and that's basically what it's like a Latin word or it's for the mover of skins, and that's what this is.
Yeah. How did you start doing this? How did you learn?
Well, my brother was already working at Hawkins Taxidermist at the time.
Okay.
In I don't even remember what year it was. Anyways, when he was working, they needed somebody to help make forms.
Okay.
And that was like the forms that were put into the animals. Only at that time they were like a paper mache. It was just sheets of paper, of a building paper with glue, and that was put into a mold, and you had to rub it in and just get it really hard. Then all the pieces were put together for what you wanted.
Okay.
And that's actually what I started doing. And then I went from that to doing fish.
Okay.
And from doing fish to rugs, and rugs to big animals and that.
Yeah, when you said that, I didn't know that we could do a fish as a specimen. I didn't know that. So, which one is the hardest to work with? The tiny ones or the bigger ones?
The small things.
Small
fish
things.
are really hard to do.
Really?
Because they're hard to work on because they fall apart easy.
That's
Small
right.
animals are really nice to work on because they're small, and you can position things a lot better. These things come in one set position,
Yeah.
and that has to be. You can alter it to different positions, but it still is that. It's still, This
Yeah.
was shot by an American.
Okay.
He came to Canada hunting through an outfitter. The outfitters go to different countries.
Yeah.
We actually get stuff from India, Pakistan, Turkey, you name it. We've had work in the last few years from all over the place.
Nice.
Just from the rich people that come.
Okay.
They come here and they do the hunting, and then the outfitter that we were dealing with, he deals with independent outfitters out in the Arctic, way up north.
Okay.
They take the people out hunting, and then they get their animal and send it to us. A lot of the skinning, like these things are skinned out before we get them.
Okay.
The big animals. We don't do skinning on really big animals.
Okay. So, is it legal to? Was this hunted or?
Yes,
Yes, right.
The
Is it?
Inuit up north are allowed to take a certain amount of animals. It's all regulated. It's not a big slaughter like a lot of people think. It's not just random people going out and killing everything. Everything is regulated by conservation.
Awesome.
Nothing is done without proper care. And if there's not very many animals, they won't take the customers out.
That's right. That was one of my concern when I just thought of coming here and taking a video, because there will be a lot of negative comments or
There
people.
always is.
Right. So
We've
these
been
are
called-
not.
We've been called murderers.
That's right, but it's
savages
not.
For killing everything. And I don't even hunt.
Yeah.
I haven't hunted since I was a kid.
That's right. Okay, good. So, and hunting is not bad, right?
No.
It's a hobby.
That if you wear leather shoes, a leather jacket, or something like that, an animal died for whatever that was. Usually it's cattle that people are going to eat, or pork, or anything else.
Yeah.
If you wear synthetics, somebody's going to be poisoned by the stuff that's being pumped into the rivers and stuff to make synthetics.
That's right.
Right? So either way, leather is a more of a renewable resource than synthetics are.
Yeah, because I recently watched a video from New Zealand, and they have a lot of peacocks, and the government allow people to hunt them because to keep the system right. No,
It's the same as black bears around southern Manitoba and Ontario.
Exactly.
Stuff like that. There's so many black bears. If they don't have hunting, they're breaking into cottages and people are complaining. So you have one or the other, right? You can't have both. You can't.
Exactly. Yep. So you mentioned that the person who had this, he cannot take it back.
Because he's an American, they're classed as a protected species in the United States.
Okay.
So his friend from Ontario is going to store him for it, and he's going to try to get a permit to get it into the States eventually.
Okay. So once you do this, is there any kind of care that needs to be done to keep
out
it
of sunlight,
keep out of sunlight?
keep dogs and cats away from it.
Okay.
Dogs will eat the claws. They'll just get in there. They'll chew all the claws off of the animal.
Okay.
They'll pee on them
Okay.
because they want to show dominance over that animal.
I see.
And that doesn't change with the animals. Like they'll keep doing it. Cats will pee around the base to mark it.
Okay. And to keep the color like this, do we have to do anything?
Yeah, just brush it out.
Brush.
Polar bears are white already, so sunlight won't hurt them as much as it does on a black bear.
Okay.
Black bears will bleach out. Any fur and feathers will bleach out in the sun.
Okay. If you don't mind, like a project like this, how much does it cost?
That would costing him about, just for our costs, around $3,000 or $4,000.
$3,000 to $4,000.
That's about 2 weeks of work involved in all of that.
Okay.
That's from start to what it is right there right now. The base is all separate. We had to make that base really heavy because the bear is so big and tall that it would be tippy if it wasn't so big and heavy. So. Also goes to China.
This is going to China.
Yeah.
That's
This goes to the same man that owns that.
okay. Okay.
The big animals come skinned. Sometimes locally we'll get a wolf that isn't skinned. Small animals always come to, or 99% of the time will come unskinned because they don't know how to, do with the eyes and the lips and stuff like that. That's still, better for doing it. This is our spray booth where we put color back in fish and animals.
Okay.
All fish lose all their colors.
Oh, okay.
So we have the spray booth and spray paint everything, all the paints here. The only thing that hasn't been sold so far, that caribou head. That's not even a real fish, that's a replica.
Okay.
That's just a fiberglass replica of a fish. Everything else in here, that skull right there, that's a bear skull. That still belongs to a customer, is going to go to him after.
Okay.
But all this stuff, all of these mounts here have all been sold. Everything up on that wall and the table, rugs. And these were all customers that, for one reason or another, didn't want them after.
Okay. Is that a real fish?
Yep.
Oh.
That's a largemouth bass.
Oh, okay.
And the one right over there is a smallmouth bass.
Oh, awesome.
And those two, the white one and the bright one, the orange and silver one,
Yes.
those are koi.
Right.
Those are hard to do because, well, the white one wasn't so bad, but that one, the bigger one was hard to do.
It was okay.
Because I remember the carp family, and carp has big, heavy scales on them that fall apart easy.
Okay, and this is
That's a walleye, or pickerel as they're known here in Canada.
That's the one I caught like two.
Oh yeah, that's the one we got
a
from
smaller
ice
one.
fishing. Yeah.
The caribou.
Caribou.
If you feel the antlers, they have velvet on them still. You can touch them.
Okay. And
how-
that's
when they're
real.
growing, that's how they grow. They grow with that velvet on there.
Oh.
Right behind you, though, those are elk antlers. They were actually cut off the animal from a game farm,
Okay.
and they have velvet on them. They do that because the elk, when they get into the fall season,
Okay.
those would still grow more, and then that velvet would die and fall off, or they rub it off, and then they would fight.
Okay.
They would fight for the females.
And
Males are crazy. Eh?
and these are bleached skull.
Yeah, they're bleached skulls.
Bleached skull, and that's a different process.
That's a totally different process.
Process.
They have to be boiled. If they have the whole bottom or the whole top jaw, and part of that top jaw is missing with the teeth.
Okay.
If the whole thing is there, then you have to clean the brains out. Everything has to be, really, really clean. So
Okay. It's part of pride, right? When people go hunting, they just
yeah,
want
well,
to.
that's what this is
Right.
all about. Yeah.
Right.
Actually, it's ego.
It's
Up north. Those are left over from the prehistoric age.
Oh, okay.
okay.
Apparently, they used to
Haven't
roam
changed.
around on the country when there was still dinosaur or mammoths, and those big
Woolly
ones
ones,
with the woolly mammoth.
Yeah. Interesting. So, what is the one unique project you remember you did in the last 55 years?
There's one in the garage I'll show you. There's one unique product. It's
Okay.
a life-size walrus.
Oh, nice.
I also did a long time ago, the guy that owned independent jewelers over on Sherbrooke and Notre Dame, he had up in his building, he had all kinds of stuff. He was a big game hunter,
Okay.
and he had animals from all over the world in there.
Okay.
And he was giving tours and stuff like that. He got shut down because people didn't like the dead animals, and so PETA or Greenpeace went and protested in front of his place.
Oh.
So they just closed the doors and let them do their thing, and they
Okay.
left after about a week.
Yeah.
A guy that I found it after had a mole done. It was a little like a mouse with a short. They're listed like with a short tail, and I did it. I mounted that for him. I didn't even know him at the time.
Okay.
I mounted that, and he gave it to John Epp, who owned Independent Jewelers. And I went there to do an appraisal on his mounts because he was going to try and sell them. And here's this little mole still there. Only at the time when I did it, it was holding a plastic M16 rifle.
Okay.
So one of its feet were broken, and just over the. It was a long time ago, so
Yeah.
it was pretty neat to see it. That was one of the unique things.
So if I read that it's the reason behind the closure is COVID.
Yeah,
Is
there's
that
just
right?
no work coming.
Coming.
Well, not enough because there's 2 taxidermists. Well, 3 in Winnipeg, but
Yeah.
one guy just works out of his garage. But there's another one has a building and he's working.
Okay.
And with this place, like this is a pretty big area to be heating and in the summertime keep it cool. Without the work,
It's
and the
hard.
guy that was giving us all this stuff like the caribou and all the other the muskox and stuff like that, he's not going to deal in Manitoba anymore. If he's not bankrupt by the time
Okay.
he can open again,
That is
which he probably will be.
yeah, it's unfortunate, right? What is one odd request you had in the past?
Oh, there have been a lot.
Lot?
Somebody for some reason did a black bear laying on its back with all 4 paws up like this, holding a glass table up, holding a glass. And the guy asked me if we could do that, and I just said no. That's
No.
Just to me, some of the things that people used to do with mounts was insulting to the animal,
Yeah.
and I don't think that that's a good thing. know what I mean?
Exactly.
Making bears, holding beer, you know, or a
Yeah.
bear with a beer up like this, like it's going to drink it. I
Yes.
just didn't think that was...
Yeah. Do you have other people working with you here, or is just you?
We had a few people. At one time, there was 14 people working in this building.
Oh,
That was
okay.
quite a while ago, but when I took it over in 2012, there was 4 or 5 of us working, and it just over the years it just went down. Not as much work. Catch and release on fish. People being shunned because they're hunters. You know, people just a lot of hunters don't even talk about it anymore because.
Yeah.
You know, and they go hunting for the meat, and a good hunter will know how to kill an animal without making it suffer.
Yes, I saw some instructions on your website how to bring the specimen and what to do. That's good. Yeah. So if the COVID was not there, do you think that you will still be running and not think about?
I would have tried to keep it going longer,
Yes.
just to try to sell it. But it's pretty much an unsellable business, and I want to retire too. So
Yeah.
that was part of it.
Yeah, I personally think this is such a unique profession to choose, right? Because people always want to preserve the memories, like you have, she said on the website. And can you do cats, dogs? No.
Never do pets.
Never do pets.
Never do pets.
Okay.
No taxidermist that is worth anything will ever do pets.
Okay, is there a reason behind it?
It's immoral. That's
okay.
Those animals become part of your family.
That's right.
That would be like skinning your kid and
Oh,
sticking it in the
it's
corner.
true. Yeah, maybe that was not the right question to ask. But the reason I asked is because now they have this dolls that you can feel like your real kid, and people are buying it online. So that's the only reason I asked. I'm so
No,
sorry.
I've never done a dog. I did a sled, like it was part wolf. I did one of them. I did a parrot many years ago. And the customer didn't want it because it didn't have that glint in its eye.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it was dead. I mean,
That's
the
right.
eye is glass, so
Yeah.
you know, but you can't please a lot of people. And I have a little dog, and I can't even think about sitting down and skinning her. And
That's true.
a friend,
Okay.
he has had them for a long time, and they were never finished. He never got when he got them, they were finished.
Okay.
So I'm just doing it as a favor to him to finish them
Okay.
up.
How long you think it takes to finish this?
To finish it, well, so far I've been working just on these 2 bears now since 10 o'clock this morning.
Okay.
And then there's still another. My niece does the sewing. She'll come in here
Okay.
tomorrow and sew at least 2 of them, put lining on them. And then I still have to finish the faces, so there's still about 5 hours, 6 hours to do.
And that.
And big black bear.
Okay.
I'm trying to sell them.
Okay.
Nobody seems to want just the hides. So.
Yeah.
Got one. One is just a small bear,
Okay.
and then one is just almost a medium, and then one is very large. And this is that muskox head that's out there.
Okay.
This is the hide that's from that. They wanted the hide as well.
Okay.
This is known as, I can't remember what the wool is called from a muskox. It's got kivit or something like that. I can't remember the name. But it's supposed to be the best wool, the best wool of any animal in the world.
Oh.
Comes off of muskox. But they tried farming them, but they were just too wild. They couldn't control them.
Okay. How much does it cost for one of these, the bear?
Just to buy the hide, or to have it done, or
Once it is done.
to buy a bear. Well, we were selling them pretty cheap. It's about $1,200 for a medium-sized bear.
Okay.
If you were going to buy one from somebody.
Okay. But to get it done,
It's about that same price.
Same
because
price.
To a person that's buying it, that didn't hunt for it, it's just the value of whatever they're going to pay.
yeah.
Because there's no value in a memory of going hunting or anything to them.
That's an Arctic fox.
No, that's a red fox. They range all the way from almost that light of a color to
Orangish.
yeah, orangey red. Yeah, they're not really red. I don't know why they call them a red fox. Should have been an orange fox, but. This what's in those bears is a form like this.
Okay.
And that's made out of a pour foam. And there's molds there's a mold that fits into a rack, and then this foam is poured into it,
Okay.
and you clamp a lid down on top of it, and it foams up inside, and then you have this form. Then it's taken out, and then teeth are put in it for the animal.
Yeah. And that one there, is that
That's a ring-necked pheasant. It belongs to my son-in-law,
okay.
and he somehow lost the tail off of it.
Okay.
So I'm going to get a tail for it and fix it up and have it.
Okay. Very beautiful. You don't get to see them very close like this.
No.
Right.
And they used to raise them, and then they would let them go out in the field,
Okay.
and people would go there and hunt them.
Hot them.
Same as for the elk, they were raising elk in
Yeah.
a great big huge enclosure, you know, like it was acres of land all together fenced off. And people could go there and hunt them, and then people got all riled up about that, and then that was all shut down. You can't. There's that moose was at Johnny's Sports Center, whatever you want to call it, in Vermilion Bay, and he had that moose out front, and the moose they called it Buster.
Okay.
Apparently, some guy that worked for him named the moose, so the name stuck on the moose, and it was out there for years. And they built a canopy because the sun and rain would ruin it. But even through the years, the skin would peel and crack and stuff like that. So sometimes I went out to Vermilion Bay to fix it, and sometimes they would send it in, and we would put another skin on it. It was a lot of work. We make a pattern of the fish before we cut it. On the side that's going to be showing is the side that was laying on a piece of paper. We draw around it. We take measurements of the fish all over, and then we place that pattern on these pieces of foam, and then cut it out on the bandsaw, and then hand carve every one back to the measurements of the fish. And whatever position they want it facing left, facing right, fighting up, fighting down. That's one of the hardest things to do, is to carve fish bodies and make them look good.
Because they're so tiny.
Yeah, well, not just that, it's just because fish have certain characteristics to them in their body shape and stuff, and every fish is different.
That's right.
You know, there's so much difference. This is the tub that we would thaw the fish out in, because you have to take them out a day ahead on the real big ones, because we were getting fish that were 30, 40 pounds from up north, so they were pretty big fish. And this is salt. We still have to get rid of the salt.
Salt.
Because we went through loads of salt with the hides. The hides, we would lay them out on this platform here and put salt on them to preserve them until they went to the tannery. You can't use Javex or anything like that, because it'll take all the calcium out of the bone,
Okay.
and then that will just turn them to dust after.
Yeah.
So peroxide doesn't do that.
Okay.
But very hard on the hands, very hard on the lungs.
Okay.
That's actually a beaver chewed stump right over there.
This one.
No, that one.
This
You can
one.
see how the beaver chewed it,
Oh, okay.
right? It
Yeah.
went, chewed the tree down, and then it chewed that branch off there. And then when a friend of mine and I went out, we just cut a whole bunch of them down to bring in for working on beavers. And then this is all just different wood and stuff that was left over from different cuts.
Okay. And that's for the fish.
Mostly for fish and
Mostly.
sometimes for small animals.
Small animals. Okay. It's a special project you did.
Well, that stuff for China, the 4 things like that to go into one guy. He built a glacier in his showroom. He has I guess he's very rich, and he built a glacier to put these northern animals on in his showroom. And apparently that's in one corner. In another corner he has for African animals, and another one for southern North American animals. And he's still working on different things in his showroom.
Have you had any requests from India?
Yeah.
Yeah, what was
In
that?
fact, we had a polar bear here that was supposed to go to India, but he couldn't make up his mind what he wanted done with it. So we had it in the freezer outside, because we have a walk-in freezer.
Okay.
And he couldn't make up his mind what he wanted done with it. So eventually, that and several other ones that we were holding for people to make up their minds got crated, and they were shipped off to a taxidermist in Ontario.
Okay.
Nobody here wanted to take it on. Them up from up there, and then skin them down in here. And in that crate right there is another polar bear. And I had the crate started, but we have to wait for paperwork to finish it off and everything. that skull goes with it, and those caribou antlers go with it, and it can't close the crate up completely because the skull, anything that's boiled, the skull has to be, it has to be inspected by a provincial vet here, a veterinarian, to say that it's properly done, there's no bugs, there's no anything going to go to another country. And that goes to Costa Rica. Bolted on the side of it to keep it in there, and then I'll have to brace it up more, strap it down in places, and then when it gets shipped, it'll not. That there is a walrus skull.
Walrus. Oh.
That's the skull out of a walrus, and that's a walrus tusk.
Oh. Wow, it's heavy. I thought it's light. It's
More for security reasons than anything. I don't leave the tusks in the walrus out here. Right. So when it gets shipped, I'll put the tusks back in, and then it'll go from there. And that's the muskox. And these two, and the polar bear, and the caribou in the shop, they always all go to China. All to the same man.
I hope you like this video. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Thanks for watching Taste in a Platter. Stay safe and stay tuned.